I don't know if you want to.
No, I only saw the email. No. And there's no attachment.
I would just do an.
If anyone is interested in signing up for public comment and hasn't done so already, please do so by 7:15. Thank you.
We've been going back and forth a little on it.
Yeah, they're okay. Just authorize me to sign.
Okay.
Money. Okay, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Make a motion to open tonight's town board meeting of July 6, 2026 at 7:05 p.m.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
We have a couple community announcements. The first is the Round Lake water quality results. So we annually and periodically throughout the summer season test the water quality at Round Lake to ensure that the health of the local biome. We received some feedback that there was non-harmful algae, that overall the lake is in good health, and the total phosphorus, which often comes from fertilizers, mowing the lawn, such like leaves decaying in the lake, are approaching the limit. But right now, it's standard, but it can cause algae blooms and excessive plant growth. So their recommendations were that the biofilm was present throughout the basin and most likely caused by decaying pollen. The outlet at the boat launch, which many residents have called the office about, have dense amounts of what's called invasive Eurasian water milfoil and benthic filamentous algae. They have moderate amount of floating filamentous algae and sparse amounts of common waterweed, pickerel weed, and coontail was documented. Trace amounts of whitewater lily and invasive water chestnut were also observed. They continued, the wetlands support sparse to moderate amounts of spatterdock, floating filamentous algae, and invasive curly leaf pondweed, moderate amounts of coontail, sparse amounts of common waterweed, trace amounts of water lily, great duckweed, and invasive water chestnut. A nutrient reduction treatment is recommended to reduce total phosphorus levels and decrease photosynthetic growth. An algae treatment to reduce the amount of floating mats in the basin is recommended, and recurring monitoring to record any change in water algae was also mentioned. And let me just do a scan to see if anything else is important to the public. But yes, the white foam on top of the lake is not harmful, so we'll engage with Solitude Lake Management and discuss what the appropriate treatment follow-up is to this. Should I make a motion from the board allowing Solitude Management to myself to engage and allow that treatment, or are we already contracted with them to the extent practice?
You have a contract with them already,
But it's basic water quality.
but not to,
I don't think it's for,
we should get a proposal from them, or they're ready to go?
they basically just recommended one specific course of action, but we can wait till next meeting to
Yeah,
actually
maybe
just
get a proposal so we can,
specifically- Yeah, okay,
board can
sounds good.
consider that.
Louis, you want to read Out in the Garden?
Yeah, please, ladies and gentlemen, join us at the Town of Monroe Community Garden. These are 30-minute gardening lessons. You have pest management, that's going to be on Wednesday, July 15th at 6 p.m. Harvesting and cooking, that's going to be Wednesday, August 19th at 6 p.m. And your fall gardening practices, Wednesday, September 16th at 6 p.m. It's free. It's right here in front of Town Hall. Whoever wants more information, please contact Barbara Singer at bsinger@townofmonroeny.gov or 845-783-1900, extension 100. And this is, it's a volunteer program and it's free. So please take advantage.
Supervisor, I believe someone from the community garden reached out to Barbara and wanted to speak on that. Are they here tonight?
I actually spoke with Kelly's mom, the Girl Scout who put together the project. It was basically about maintenance of the area that residents who are using the garden are leaving containers and such like that. So we'll post just rules and remind those few residents who have plots that they can't take up more space than their designated plots as well was a concern. Someone has an additional potted tomato. So just things like that. She did reach me. Thank you. Mary, go ahead.
Okay, the DMV is going to be at Town Hall on July 30th, 2026, and it's going to be up here in this lot. It will be from 10 to 12, then they go to lunch, and they come back at 1, and they will go till 3:30. And they do all kinds of transactions. They do not do the driving tests. They do the real or enhanced ID. So come on down. It's a lot easier than going up to some of the other places and get your paperwork with you. Bring your paperwork with you.
Beth, you can go.
Sure. The Monroe Free Library is having a summer reading kickoff party at the community now. Snacks, live music from a local market change. For all ages, looking at the flyer, it's not just intended for little ones. For more information, you can give them a ring at 845-783-4411, or you can get more information at monroefreelibrary.org.
And then one final announcement, just wanted to put on the record for the Woodbury Animal Shelter to reiterate the issue. We had a contract that was negotiated in 2025, the end of 2024, that was for the contract year of 2025 that had an automatic rollover into the 2026 year. We were not invoiced by the town of Woodbury for that, as we expressed we would be willing to increase our engagement to $33,000 rather than the contracted $31,000. We then hit a wall with those negotiations, and they then made a motion at one of their town board meetings after Darius and I had reached out to them multiple times to no avail. That notice was also not sent to us, and so we reached out to them to put that in writing for us, and I personally drove over the $31,000. So the contract year is now fully cemented. There was also comments made, about the fact that, or alleging that Monroe had never paid $1 towards Woodbury Animal Shelter, which was untrue. We have medical bills for the dogs that are picked up and boarded at the Woodbury Animal Shelter, and we have been paying those bills throughout. And when I dropped off the check, I spoke directly with Supervisor Jackie Hernandez. She asked that we look into those medical bills, as she believed we were not paying them. And my last contact with her over text was her confirming that we had in fact paid them throughout the entire year. So I want to, thank everyone for their patience through this process. Our animals, they have a place where they will be boarded, and we will attempt to reengage for the 2027 contract year. And if that's unsuccessful, we have several backup options. So we will keep everyone updated on that. So that should be that for now. All right, I'll make a motion to accept the June 9th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Can we go back one?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for that reminder. We have one more hydrant flushing notice from the Town of Monroe Water Department. So they would like to notify residents that hydrant flushing will take place over the coming weeks as part of our routine maintenance program to help ensure the continued quality of your water supply. And the hydrant flushing schedule will be the week of July 6th, Water District 8 and 10, the week of July 13th, Water Districts 1 and 7, the week of July 20th, Water Districts number 2, 12, and 10. So during the flushing process, residents may experience temporary water discoloration or a reduction in water pressure. These conditions are normal and should be temporary. If you notice water discoloration, please run a cold water faucet for several minutes until the water runs clear. We appreciate your patience and cooperation as we perform this important maintenance to help maintain the quality of the town's water system. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, please contact the Town of Monroe Water Department at 845-782-8583. Do I have a second to my motion?
Rivera, second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
And we have the audit of claims. Thanks everyone for taking time to meet at the special meeting today. Our meeting gap did not allow for basically the sending out of checks, so this is an important and vital operation that we need the board's sign off for to disperse actual payments. So be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe approves abstract of audited vouchers, escrow fund number 26-08, check 2287, totaling $325.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
And we have so be it resolved that the town abstract of audited vouchers 12 checks number 38424-38486 through 38486 totaling $4,000.
And we'll second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay, we have our new business. For those of you maybe looking on our web portal, we had an old format that our attorney fixed for us, so I'll be reading off the motion from floor for board members. So let's see. Can I read this one? I have a trick in it.
No, you can read it.
So whereas the Town of Monroe is seeking to replace the piping and appurtenances, oh wow, you just threw that in there for me, within the existing well house and construct an atmospheric storage tank for the municipal water facility located at 357 West Mumbasia Road near Mumbasia Park within Water District Number 2. And whereas the work to be performed is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, requiring coordinated review. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby designates its intent to serve as lead agency for the secret coordinated review and will circulate the lead agency notice and all who shall all be given 30 days from the mailing of lead agency notice to challenge the town board's designation. I will additionally add that I authorize representatives from MHE on behalf of the town as the town's engineers to partake in this action, and I make that motion.
Rivera will second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye?
Stevens, aye.
Also an important and urgent test. Probably going to have questions in the audience from Water District 1, but this is a good news. It's a proposal for Phase 1 hydrogeological consulting services for the town of Monroe. So we are investigating a study with Hanson Van Vliet to perform the Phase 1 investigation to evaluate potential groundwater supply for Water District 1 to eliminate all source contaminants from basically a rented village line. So we secured, Mary's at $2.1 million in grant.
2.29, so it's almost 2.3.
$2.3 million in a recent grant to remediate water contaminants. And MHE and I, during our water meetings, basically realized that the Village of Monroe is going to be raising its rates for outside users, and that's never going to be decreasing over time, it's only going to increase. That paired with the quality issues, we explored whether this would be covered by the grant, and Quinn confirmed that it would be, so we would like to go ahead and explore drilling a new well, whether there's a water source for Water District 1 residents, so that they can be self-reliant basically on the town. So we won't know until we perform this test, and based on these findings, we'll either proceed with this or we will go back to the other options previously discussed. So be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe makes a motion to approve the proposal from Hanson Van Vliet, PLLC, to perform the Phase 1 hydrogeological investigation in support of evaluating a potential groundwater supply source for the town. The lump sum cost for HVV to complete the Phase 1 investigation is $4,320, which is a fixed, not to exceed amount based on the proposed scope of work.
Rivera will second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye?
Stevens, aye.
Thank you. So the faster we get those test results back, the faster we can move forward and have the special meeting with Water District 1 residents, which is a topic that we mentioned last meeting with those who attended. So we will be sending out on behalf of the town these results, that informed decision, which option we'll be finally pursuing. A sit down with all members of Water District 1, and you will receive a special notice actually in your mailbox, okay? All right, and the engineers will be there. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to accept the resignation of Fran Tapia Santos as account clerk. She left us a nice letter of resignation, so she says, please accept this letter as my formal notice of resignation. My position as account clerk in the finance office and deputy budget officer. My last day of employment will be Friday, July 3rd of 2026. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunities I've been given during my time with the town. It has been a privilege to serve our community and to contribute to the work of the finance office. I sincerely appreciate the trust placed in me, including the opportunity to take on the additional responsibility of deputy budget officer. It has been a pleasure working for the town along so many knowledgeable, dedicated, and talented staff members. The experience and relationships I've gained will remain with me throughout my career. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve the town. I wish the board, staff, and community continued success in the future. And we wish her the best. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept Fran's resignation as, 7/3 was her actual last day.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye?
Stevens, aye.
Then I want to thank Cheryl Gross, who was basically able to come in and offer us some help, and we're excited to have her join the team. In the meantime, help us hire and establish our department and train a bookkeeper. The principal account clerk list just was posted, which is good news because the county doesn't always offer certain public finance exams. So we have a lot of new options, including I'm excited to explore some digital and automated payroll services. So we are going to be discussing changes in the finance department, but that all starts with the approval of the freelance service agreement with Cheryl Gross, who of retirement to help us and has many years of experience. Let's see. So I'm going to say that be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe makes a motion to approve the freelance service agreement of Cheryl Gross at a rate of $45 an hour.
Second for discussion.
Okay?
I realize we're really, really lucky that as we keep losing staff in the finance department, that there's, a chance to put like a patch on it for the moment, and I'm glad that Cheryl's providing that service. I guess what I'm looking for is reassurances. You mentioned that she's going to train the new bookkeeper, so you have secured a bookkeeper?
No, we are using Cheryl right now. Sorry, you can go ahead. Do you want to finish off your statement?
Sure. And so basically this is taking me back to in February when I advised on maybe it wasn't the right time for you to take that budget officer stipend until we got the finance department right-sized. This is essentially what I was concerned about. I mean, there needs to be 3 people in there. I'm very grateful that Fran stuck it out for as long as she did, but she did reach out to me and let me know why she was moving on, and it was a lack of support. And so I guess I just want to ensure that that pattern doesn't continue.
I have to stop you for several reasons that are just not a public thing to express repeatedly, as that is not true. Fran has not moved on because of lack of support. She wants to work with her coworkers who work in Walden. She wanted to continue
let's
her
not call her a liar.
I spend every day with Fran, and we also had issues where other personnel who wanted to be onboarded did not necessarily want to work in the environment with Fran. So I would rather not discuss that publicly. And the other thing that I would like to address publicly is that the constant conflation with the budget officer stipend. If nobody took the job of budget officer, first of all, we would have to find another body, a staffer, who takes on budget officer. That person would ask for full-time benefits, full-time salary, and it would exceed and basically become another full-time body. This is how the model has always been. If I didn't take that job would be floating and more work would have landed on those in the finance department. We did not have, as I stated, there is no active or updated list for bookkeeper. If there was a qualified individual who we could have hired right away, that is what we would have done. Luis Rivera and I sat in on interviews trying to find people. They were not interested. Unfortunately, the benchmark of public finance pay is often not worth the risk for people. It's not worth the exposure. Public finance is its own animal, so you have to find somebody who is qualified enough. Monroe is not an easy place to work, especially in finance. It's larger than most municipalities in this district, and we have special districts, we have special accounts, we're doing MUNA, we're doing the parks. There's a ton of work to be done. So if I had not stepped up and taken that role, the town would owe more money, when meanwhile we've cost saved a ton in the finance department. The reality is that Roberta, the former bookkeeper, stayed to close out the January preliminary audit, and Fran stayed to close out the regular audit. So alleging that it's some kind of issue with lack of support when we asked her repeatedly if she would like to use the RBT contract, which you flagrantly told us was somehow corrupt and abusive.
I never said it was corrupt and abusive. Okay, now you're starting to put
Now
words
it's a
in my mouth.
conflict of interest. Maybe that's the word you use.
No, I questioned $165 an hour compared
It
to
is a
hiring,
question.
compared to hiring the staff.
Do you think that anyone on this board wants to be in the position where we don't have anybody able
So-
and ready to fill the
So
roles?
my point is we need to think about why you can't get those people in those
The
roles.
reason is
Or keep
because-
them in those roles.
Oh, keep them. There's literally a person who came from the prior organization who, again, closed out in January and went to go pursue other opportunities, which was entirely her intent the whole time. Once again, Fran had a plan and she pursued that plan. There's nobody else who left the role. There's nobody else who had issues. And honestly, I feel very much that it speaks to the fact that we didn't roll heads as some people accused us that we were going to do. We didn't try to restructure the department, and we waited for those people to teach us, teach staff. We have Helen Knickerbocker, who's worked for, 3 administrations, coming in and helping us. So your character assaults aren't really helping. And
This
the
is not a
public-
character assault. This
Excuse me,
is
I don't
just
think she
speaking
meant
facts.
any character assaults.
The
I think she was
public
just
debate
concerned about
of pointing
the...
a finger at my wanting to have a qualified individual who works well with me as bookkeeper. Well, there was someone who came in and asked us for $100,000, and they never worked a day as a public bookkeeper. That is
So
the
listen.
options that we've had.
I'm bringing all these reasons up because I think it points to the need for an independent HR firm, and I just
It
want
does
that on
not,
public
but
record.
thank you. It has nothing to do with HR, and it has everything to do with the fact that public finance and civil service is a dying art and unsupported. And
I
honestly,
disagree.
we've been to the county. Do you even know anything about these civil service positions?
Yes.
Have you attended any interviews for public finance and looked at the qualifications of those who submitted resumes to the town?
I've made my point. Let's continue.
The answer is no, she has not come on
No, I have done
campus.
this in the federal civil service, but we don't need to keep going in circles.
It's not
I
in
just wanted to
circles.
point this out, that this is a reason why I think we need to look into independent HR.
Thank you, but that's inaccurate, and I really do hope that more people get involved with civil service, and I have expressed to County Executive Steve Newhouse and also those who work in the HR department at the county, and they've expressed back that there is a need, a dire need, and maybe the benefits and pay aren't matching, and that something needs to be done. There are certain dying arts, and public finance is one of them. We have had many people reach out who would like to work with us, who want to work with us, and that have not been qualified enough to take on or fill the shoes of our former administration's bookkeepers and account clerks. And we are not willing to give someone an equivalent salary to somebody who's been at the town for 10 or 15 years, who doesn't have those skills. And that's what's going on. So I'm going to continue to do my job as head of finance, and I'm really glad that Cheryl Gross, who is literally, again, coming out of retirement of her own volition, alongside the likes of Helen Knickerbocker, who is one of the kindest, most experienced and talented, finance employees that I've ever met, to help me, to teach me more, to teach our people more, and to get qualified individuals, not just people who are willing to sit in the chair and fake it till they make it. So, again, I'm going to call the question.
You needed to start the starting date in your motion, June 23rd.
Thank you. I will make that amended at the start date of June 23rd, but I believe the finance agreement itself has that in there, so thank you, Mary. He seconded it. Are you just
Seconded
doing,
already,
yeah.
right?
Are you asking a question?
No, I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay. We also had a very successful sit-down with the IBEW Local Union 363. Frank has been amazing support to both Highway and my office. We basically, excuse me, we basically have had an issue for the longest time in the Town of Monroe Highway Department where Bill Brown couldn't be here tonight. He's on vacation with family for the holiday. But this was of urgent importance as well for tonight's meeting because we had the resignation of an employee with their water license, and we have to establish Craig as the new license holder for the Town of Monroe so that we have compliance at a county level and that we can continue operating our water districts. So what was decided, and we had talks with John, and it was basically attributed to just burnout as well as stress. He was eligible to retire early and opted to do that when conflict arose over like machinery and purchasing, and essentially the union and the highway superintendent and I circled up and agreed that it's long overdue that the Town of Monroe get their own independent water department, and the IBEW 363 has no desire for that to be part of their union. So Craig is thrilled to be offered this opportunity. I'm not sure if he had his baby yet, but I hope he did, and congratulations. We're waiting, for that. He's a young dad, so we're excited to offer him to be the department head of the new Town of Monroe Water Department and to establish some laborers underneath that. He will report directly to me and not go through the union. So let's see, how do we word this? I think someone else has to authorize me to sign this, correct? All right, Mary, you want to go for that?
Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves a memorandum of agreement between the town of Monroe and IBEW Local 363 regarding water department operations. 2, Craig Lundstrom shall assume the role of water department lead operator effective July 7, 2026 with a $10 per hour wage increase. 3, the town shall post a position for water department laborer to support weekend operational needs. 4, the town and union agreed to formally separate the water department from the highway department and negotiate a standalone water department collective bargaining agreement later this year. If the town and Mr. Lundgren mutually determine that the arrangement is, got to flip a page, is satisfactory, not satisfactory, he may return to the highway department with his previous classification and seniority. The town board authorizes Supervisor Maureen Richardson to execute the MOA and any necessary documents. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Second for discussion.
Go ahead.
So reading this, I'm thinking through second and third order effects. And the reason I have that perspective now is watching what went on between our Dial Ride and Woodbury Animal Shelter negotiations. And I just want to make sure that we don't end up in a similar situation on on a new negotiation with the union. This reads like a starting point.
Nope, it's finalized.
Okay, well, in that case, these are my next concerns. I see that from what I'm reading, that Craig will be removed from from supporting plowing with the highway department.
Yes.
And so how has that worked out with Bill Brown on how he's gonna, is he, how is he gonna?
He's hiring someone new to plow
Okay.
seasonally.
Some more cost, okay.
No, it's equivalent cost because it's a seasonal hire for just the snow plowing.
And then, because we're doing this outside of the normal negotiation period, it's going to open us up to all of the other things that the union members will want to negotiate, correct?
No, it doesn't. The agreement and the highway department members, as well as the union head, have been incredibly supportive. As we've seen, actually, I'd like to take a moment, because I forgot during community announcements, to thank everybody who's cleaning out the drain catches, basins, and everything. If you noticed, we were completely flooded, and our boys out there were spending the entire night while Bill was away, making sure that downed trees, power lines, and everything were in good shape. So I just want to give them a round of applause, actually, if we can, please, because they are working tirelessly all of the time, and they have been, yes, extremely understaffed. And that's going to be a discussion in August. Definitely. They're waiting their turn as team members of the town, just like every other department and staffer has been basically working with short resources because of especially the county distribution error. So we've been operating on the safe side when it comes to budgeting, for sure.
Well, it was Highway Department members that let me know that they felt like they were left out of this discussion. And so maybe that could have been as simple as just, bringing them in and helping them understand.
I don't know what you're talking about,
but
because
I
they
wanted to
have been in my office, and Frank and I have spoken directly to all highway members, and we just took a tour of the garage.
So if I can finish my sentence, I just want to speak for the employees that reached out to me. I think at a minimum, if the shop steward had been included in these discussions, there wouldn't be a feeling of their being left out. And yes, I'm concerned about how this is going to open up all of the other negotiation elements of the union.
No one has reached out to me to complain about this or any other items that we have not directly discussed with the individual. As I said, I just took a tour of the highway department to take an inventory of all of our vehicles, which are unfortunately aging out, and took a look at our budget to see what capital planning that we have to replace our fleet. Every single member of the highway department spoke directly to me that day, and I've had members in and out of my office upon their individual needs as per usual throughout the year. And Frank is in charge of presenting this and communicating through the union ranks. That is not my place. I'm not going to be interfering in their communications. They are part of the union, and I respect how they operate and manage those discussions. All I can say for certain is that we have a current union contract, and this addendum doesn't change that, except for the facts in this addendum, which are literally vital to town operations. So this is exactly what the union asked happen from last year. It's just in advance of the contract so that we can actually continue operating our water systems and people can drink clean water in the town, and we don't incur a $40,000 fine. Any employees who are reaching out to sole board members have already been told that that's not exactly productive, and I can't really speak to the validity of that. So I would like to just proceed and call a question unless there are other discussion.
When is the highway contract up?
We are going to be renegotiating formally in August, so
August,
any
it starts.
problems that arise, they know that they have many months until it's up in December, formally. So we're starting in basically now.
That's good.
We've been discussing of what their expectations are, and that's why I don't have any worries at all. I can't account for Woodbury and their actions and not getting back to our attorney. I mean, he's spoken on that multiple times. He wasn't even able to reach Joe McKay. Darius hasn't even been in these meetings, so maybe that's the reason, right, Darius? It's you. It's your fault. I'm good at this. I don't know. So me and Frank came to this conclusion, and everybody's happy, and Craig's basically waiting to hear the news, and we're waiting to hear about his baby. So unless there's anything else. All right, call the question.
All right.
Hingham, aye.
Richards, said aye.
Stevens, nay.
Okay. Congratulations, Craig. We're happy to have you a part of the team. We look forward to expanding the water department and servicing new residents, hookups and everything that they need with testing. All right, now we have new business, 6.6, procurement agreement with Centel Supplies. I want to thank Valerie for letting the town know that Aramsco was increasing their prices. What was it, Val? Up to 5%. And we explored Cintas, and not only did we see a savings on the increase, but we saw savings basically overall. The board has internal spreadsheets of each item that we order. And not only is this a supply procurement cost reduction, it's also including a service of when we run out of something, they are actually managing it. So it's going to be taking off a lot of workload from maintenance. Valerie as our procurement officer and myself as building administrator. So they were a pleasure to work with. They've turned over their staff since years ago. So we were excited to engage with them. If anybody came in the front door, you saw the really cool Town of Monroe logo mat. They gave us that as well. Somebody has to read this for me, please.
The An agreement with Cintas Supplies, whereas the Town of Monroe requires professional facility and maintenance supplies for daily municipal operations, and the town's current supplier has raised prices, causing the supervisor, town clerk, and department heads to search for more competitive supply management. Whereas Cintas Supplies provides procurement options that meet the operational and budgetary requirements of the town, decreasing supply costs and increasing inventory management oversight. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign and execute the procurement agreement with Cintas Supplies.
Second for discussion. Just a real simple lookup.
Excuse me, Mary's first in line, then we can proceed to Councilwoman Stevens. Sure.
I had a question. Since we're trying to be a climate-smart community, I don't know if we get any extra points for purchasing green products that the General Office of General Services is offering. I don't know if that's a possibility. Like I said, if we're going to be a climate-smart community, if we have a vendor who offers green products, would that give us?
Can you repeat the vendor that you?
I don't have the vendor.
Oh.
I just know that they are Green New York compliant guides. That's what I pulled up. I don't know of a specific vendor. I don't know if Cintas is a green compliant.
I can certainly ask them, but yes, in the price comparison with Cintas, they have it as such a surplus and they're going through a certain state contract and other opportunities in bulk that, as I said previously, even Aramco was slightly higher before they increased their prices. So I will be happy to ask if they have green alternatives, but I think even those green alternatives would be sourced cheaply at Cintas rather than anywhere else. So if they're not recommending a certain vendor, I would assume that Cintas has access as they have a wide array of products. The most interesting thing about what they offer too is they have systems on the wall that actually prevent cleaning companies that we might cycle through and, laborers that might come in and maintain the town, that someone can't over pour bleach, Fabuloso, and then restock, costing the town extra in chemicals. It's like a system on the wall where it's refilled, and it's like one pump will do a mop. So it also heads off overuse of supplies, harsh chemicals, ensuring quality, things of that nature. So I'm sure they have green alternatives if it doesn't already qualify, because it is a little bit more manufactured to get out certain chemicals that consumer products have.
Does DOC supply we supply DOC when you mentioned they come in clean.
Yeah,
so
that's part of
that
our
would ensure that they're not
costs.
overusing any supplies. Got it.
Yes, and we are overdue to put out the cleaning contract again for bid, but so that will be an interesting thing just to make sure. And DOC has already expressed interest in renewing and putting in another bid, so we'll see how that goes. Councilwoman Stevens, go ahead.
Yes, it definitely does look like a great deal of Cintas. I'm not denying that. The only thing I'm worried about is that it's not a New York State preferred source listed with OGS. And so that means we need to put this out for a competitive bid process. Cintas may still come back out on top, but it's not a preferred source.
Darius, I don't think we're limited.
Amount?
It's not it's not meeting the procurement ceiling for that bidding process. Val, do you have your file open? You wanted to show him the, do you not have access to Civics Plus? I don't think so. I do. Hold on. We didn't, for Ramsco. It's per product. So it's not even a contract to engage with them in any ceiling or limit. Yeah, and they are connected to, they are, yeah.
They're not in the centralized database on OGS.
I don't think that matters. Frank, I don't want to speak, but this has been posted for 5 days, so if you'd done this research, we would have been able to actually look this up, but everything that...
No, I just found that portion this morning.
Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and ask that we approve this, and then if there is a problem, it's not lawful that it proceed anyway, but in speaking with Centos, they deal with like every municipality in this region, and bidding was never part of it, and I've specifically heard him talk about being part of the state marketplace multiple times where that's where they source their products. So I would just ask that we pass this, and if there's a problem, it's not going to proceed.
Is it a cheaper alternative to what we're
Yes,
doing
much
currently?
cheaper. The spreadsheet's in there.
We're going to save money, the town's going to save money?
Yes, we are going to save money.
So I'm doing this in the best interest of the town, so call the
Thank you.
question.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay. Yeah, Darius, and if you could just
Look.
let us know.
Look and see if they're
Okay, Chip Francis Pastiglione has split attention right now. He is transitioning to a move to Delaware. He is our longtime ZBA chair. He basically stayed to assist us after the unfortunate passing of Noreen McSweeney. So Zach Murphy, who's the son of Michael Murphy, who was also a longtime member with the town, engineer, everything like that, has stepped up and volunteered to be ZBA chair. This is at Chip's recommendation. He is asking that we accept his resignation as chair, but that he will maintain his term position as ZBA member through the end of the year to make sure that there's a successful training period and transition, and that we elevate Zach to ZBA chair. So I'm going to make the motion to accept the resignation of Chip Pastiglione as ZBA chair while maintaining his position as ZBA member, and accept his recommendation to formally elevate Zach Murphy to ZBA chair. And I will just read Zach's letter, which was very touching. So first and foremost, I would like to send my condolences to anyone who had the pleasure of knowing our town secretary, the fantastic planning secretary, Noreen McSweeney. She was a one-of-a-kind woman, and I will always be grateful for having known her. Secondly, I would like to thank Chairman Pastiglione for his determination and drive to help the community. Understandably, things change in life, and he will be stepping down as chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. With the loss of Ms. McSweeney and Chairman Pastiglione stepping down, I understand how the community may be concerned about the future of the Zoning Board. I would like to assure you all that we will get back to business as usual shortly, but we won't forget the positive impact these two made. I would like to thank the current town supervisor, Maureen Richardson, for the opportunity to be the new Zoning Board of Appeals chairman, a role that I do not take lightly. I would also like to thank the previous town supervisor, Cardone, for giving me a chance to be on the zoning board nearly 4 years ago. Most importantly, I would like to thank the residents of the town of Monroe for never giving up. This town is full of hardworking, resilient Americans, and I plan on hearing and addressing every one of their concerns. Thank you, Monroe. From Zach Michael Murphy, Town of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals.
Supervisor, there's actually 3 motions that have to be made here.
Okay.
So the first motion is going to be accept the resignation of Chip Pastiglione with an effective date. That effective date I'm going to have to just check on, but that's the first motion.
As chairman, yeah.
Yes.
I rolled it into one. Darius, can we roll them
But
into
I-
one?
Chairman
need-
and a member?
Basically, I made the motion to accept his resignation as chair, and then maintain his position, and accept his recommendation to formally elevate Zach Murphy to ZBA chair. I put it all in one motion.
Three motions I need. The first one is to accept his resignation.
Okay, so I motion to accept the resignation of Chip Francis Pasiglione as ZBA chair while maintaining his position as ZBA member.
That's going to be a separate motion because he needs to fill a slot. Going to take Zach's current. Zach is going to,
That's not how that works with chair. They are in a slot as members, and then every year we appoint a chair. So their term, when they're appointed as members, is it 5 years?
it is 5 years, but Chip was slot number 2. Chair seat expires in 2026. His seat, slot number 2, expires in 2030. So that's what Zach is taking over, is that seat.
Darius, can you look this up because Zach is not
No.
resigning.
Who's resigned?
Chip is stepping down as chair.
Who's
So we need a functional assessment of what's the law, what's municipal law. There's seats 1 through, how many seats? 5. There's seats 1 through 5, each of them have terms. No matter if you're chair or not, you're an appointed member of the ZBA or the planning board. Being chair does not change the term or your seat.
Correct.
Every year, we pick a new chair. So as he resigns his chairmanship, it does not affect his term or seat position.
He's still on the board.
Yes,
Yeah. So
but
you
I'm
wanna-
asking you to
what do you
verify
say we
that
should
that's
do?
correct.
I'm saying that he's going to go up here and
Ah, I see what's happening. So they're asking us to additionally swap. So innately, it does not swap.
Keep your seat.
Yes, but they are
It's not.
asking us to additionally
Because they all
swap.
overlap, the seats, so you can't do that.
Okay, because that is what's happening. Because Chip is moving and he intends to fulfill the rest of the year or his term.
And you'll just reappoint someone to his unexpired term.
Yes, we will just reappoint Zach.
So all you're going to do is accept the resignation as the chair of the CHIP and
Yes.
appoint Zach Murphy as the chair. You can do that in
Yes.
one motion or two. It's up to you.
I did it all as motion to accept the resignation of Chip as ZBA chair while maintaining his position, and accept Chip's resignation to formally elevate Zach Murphy to ZBA chair. That's my motion. Is that okay? Okay. So we're good? Okay. Can I get a second?
Rivera will second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Hingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Was that it? That's it? We're good with that? No further, right? Okay. Okay, we have a few.
No, we do have one more.
We have a few from floor.
Point 8.
Oh,
I handed
yes.
out.
So, to follow suit with the ZBA, John Seeley put in his resignation in January for an opportunity that he was pursuing in March. So I'll just read his resignation letter. ZBA Chairman Chip, you are well aware of the current challenges of government service, DOGE, government shutdowns, hiring freeze, and reduced staffing. I've recently been selected as the Deputy Director of West Point's Directorate of Public Works. West Point is currently executing a $2 billion revitalization program of its facilities and infrastructure. And with my new position and the constraints identified above, I'm required to allocate a lot more time and effort in order to successfully execute West Point's DPW's mission and robust design and construction program. At this time, I am unable to apply the appropriate time and effort to be an effective member of the town zoning board, and please accept my resignation from the zoning board of appeals effective March 31st, 2026. This was enacted, but I don't think that it was ever confirmed on a town board level, so the clerk asked us to just formally confirm it. So I'll make that motion to accept John Seeley's letter of resignation and hope that this job opportunity is suiting him well. Can I get a second?
Bingham will second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
And Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Okay, the additional items that had to be brought from the floor, unfortunately, Ed Morales, if you saw the news, his daughter's car was the one that was actually mutilated on Lakes Road. So he hurt himself running out at 2 in the morning in response to the loud crash. So he has not been here in order to submit items. So we will be doing a couple dial-a-ride items from the floor. And we're happy to have Ed back in a limited capacity today. And that driver did survive. They were intoxicated and, all right.
The meeting.
They were intoxicated, they did survive, and no one was hurt other than that driver. So that is the update there. So let's see, I want to make the motion that Tiffany Truex receive the $8,000 stipend to assist at the senior center as assistant senior assistant senior center attendant alongside Ed Morales, and that this was formally approved and signed off by the Teamsters Union.
Second.
Call the question?
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, nay.
And I would like to continue with the, what is it? He has asked that due to his absence last week, I was unable to bring your attention the need to obtain authorization from the town board to negotiate and finalize proposed IMAs with the town of Chester and the village of South Vermont Grove before their next town board meeting scheduled for July 8th, 2026. The Town of Monroe Dial-a-Ride program has developed proposed IMAs that would expand transportation opportunities for residents while making efficient use of our existing routes. Under these agreements, the Town of Monroe would provide transportation services for residents of the Town of Chester in the Monroe-Woodbury-only sector, and the Village of South Blooming Grove to designated stops within the Town of Monroe and KJ, utilizing our existing routes. These agreements are intended to improve mobility for residents of all participating municipalities by increasing access to medical appointments, employment, shopping, and other essential services. In addition, these partnerships would strengthen regional cooperation while generating additional revenue for the Town of Monroe through annual contractual service agreement with each participating municipality. This revenue would help support and enhance the continued operation and long-term sustainability of the Dial-a-Ride program. I respectfully request that the town board authorize Supervisor Richardson and the town attorney Darius to negotiate, finalize, and execute these proposed intermunicipal agreements on behalf of the Town of Monroe. I further request that this authorization be considered at the July 6th emergency town meeting so that negotiations may proceed without unnecessary delay and the agreements can be presented to their respective municipalities on time. Darius, can you just fill in the board for me on the arrangements that you've been making with Ed over the last week and a half with Chester and then recently with South Blooming Grove? You want to just talk about the price points?
Sure, we've been going back and forth with the supervisor and town attorney in Chester and also South Blooming Grove, I believe, South Blooming Grove is adding sort of 2 new buses for, I believe it's $100,000, if I recall. In Chester, we're going to provide that service to them, and the price is missing. I'm forgetting what it is right now.
We're going back and forth. Part of Monroe, even in the time, like with to charge them for like the 10 minutes there and the 10 minutes back. So if we're dispatching a bus, it costs Woodbury about $17.50 passenger up and drive anywhere. Chester, we're not doing that portion because they're basically essentially just extending the Monroe service area to those residents. And so we're like starting at, it's not to exceed by 2028. I don't think we're going to be exceeding 13K, and we're starting somewhere around 10K, and that's basically the price is all that we're negotiating. And they are getting basically a discount for the reason I mentioned, and because they are extending it to max length at 2028 or 2029. The maximum service we're allowed to extend to
It's,
until the county approval expires.
$9,750 for 26, and then $11,750 for 27. And it is going to December 31st, 27.
I think it was extended out to 29. They asked us for that.
Is that what the latest email
Yeah.
was? Okay, I may have missed that one. The last draft I had was 27.
Okay.
But we'll finalize that with the supervisor and their town attorney. And
Yeah, they are gonna discuss it at their meeting. I think one of their board members wants to hash out basically just the price and get back to us. So, what should I make I'm sorry, actually, Louis or Mary, can
Yeah,
you?
I'll make it up. So be it resolved, the Town Board of Town Monroe made a motion to approve the supervisor and council Darius to negotiate on behalf of the town of Monroe with the town of Chester and the town of South Blooming Grove.
Village of South Blooming Grove.
The village of South Blooming Grove, correction. May I have a second?
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.
Beautiful. I love $110,000 worth of busing in the morning. All right, what else do we have? Was there anything from Flora that I missed? Any announcements, anything important? Just a reminder, the garbage schedule for the holiday was pushed. The IWS reached out to us. We put it through Constant Contact. Anyone who put out their garbage on Friday or last week, please note that, put it out, at the next available pickup, and also your heavy garbage will be taken because of the last minute inconvenience. They offered their union a change and a shift because of their union holiday schedule. So thank you, everybody, for that. All right.
Just an FYI, they were actually in my development when I got home tonight at like 5 after 5.
Yeah, they work hard. Thank you. All right, public comment?
So I'm going to call the first speaker, followed by the second speaker, just so that you'll be prepared. Please come up to the mic, leave the mic in the stand. You'll have 3 minutes. Announce your name. Tom Lawrence, followed by Dory Hool.
Tom, you know how to turn the mic on, or you want me to take care of it? All right. Go for it.
How's that? My name is Tom Lawrence. I'm at 83 Osseo Park Road in Monroe. I am with the Monroe Conservation Commission. On June the 25th at our meeting, the Monroe Conservation Commission signed off on the following statement. People want to live in Monroe. The scenery, rural suburban lifestyle draw those looking for a slower pace of life with beautiful scenery. Monroe still has that, but we're at a crossroads. Monroe is called the Lake Region for a reason. Our natural beauty surrounds us. That natural beauty is threatened daily with overdevelopment, destruction of animal habitat, water and air pollution, and simple overcrowding. Our natural habitats are being eroded by developers buying large tracts of land and then applying for zoning variances, turning these lands into concrete thoroughfares. On many social media sites, town residents have expressed concern and anger at this overdevelopment. We need only to go back 2 years to examine the uproar over the Rye Hill project that upset so many residents. The town eventually agreed to purchase the land with money it didn't have in order to stop this ill-conceived development. A real estate transfer tax would provide funds for such land acquisition. A small percentage of the sales price on property paid for by the buyer would seed a land preservation account. These monies could then be dedicated for land preservation within the town. Recent concerns expressed by citizens over a large tract of land acquired around Round Lake could have been avoided by an acquisition by the town. Again, money we don't have. The island itself in Round Lake is even being considered for development. The island. According to Zillow, right now, today, there are approximately 221 homes for sale in Monroe. It's got a median price range of $497,000. If we put a very small percentage of that sales price just on residential properties, just on what's on the market now, we could generate almost $1 million for land acquisition. This doesn't even include commercial properties. The Monroe Conservation Commission cannot develop law. We can only suggest to the board what could be done. Chester, Warwick, and the city of Kingston have all adopted the RETT.
Thank you, but he's with the commission and representing the commission tonight, so he will be proceeding. What?
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. State legislation allows this. The Monroe Conservation Commission urges the town board to examine implementing a real estate transfer tax to maintain the beauty we enjoy in Monroe. I am not a registered Democrat, so I would even, if you prefer, we can call this a land tariff, or whatever you want to call this. I would also like to make the announcement that the Monroe Conservation Commission has 2 vacancies. We've been advertising these vacancies. If any town resident would like to serve on this commission, the pay is fantastic. But please apply to the supervisor, and let's get these vacancies filled. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom. Before you go, did you mention that you resolved,
We had this a vote at the Monroe Conservation Commission.
and it was unanimous to support?
It was unanimous.
Okay, thank you
Yes,
so
it
much,
was.
Tom. That's great news.
Yes, it
Thank you for
was.
your work.
Thanks.
I have a quick question for you, because I had somebody inquire today. Any idea when the next repair cafe might be?
Come back up here and talk about the repair cafe if you know.
Sure.
Valerie just asked, do we have a prospective date for the future repair cafe? Did we finalize one?
We do not.
Okay.
No,
So we'll
we
look
don't.
forward to that.
We're still trying to find a chairman for that event.
Okay.
We're also talking with Susie Fromer to try to get repairers. No, that thing just, it fell apart on us for various reasons.
Okay, so we'll discuss that.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know I'm not a big fan of this transfer tax, right?
Yes.
So let's go back to that average cost. You said the average home on Zillow in Monroe is selling for how much?
$471.
I thought you said $497.
Oh, okay. I did say $497.
$497,000. How much is this transfer tax you're proposing?
I'm not proposing a percentage.
So,
You can do anything. You can do
0%.
You can do 0.
I'm
you can do
totally
point-
against it. I want the public
Okay.
to know.
Well,
I
I don't know.
appreciate what you're saying, but I'm totally against it.
Okay. How do you propose, so you're happy to have Monroe look like Nassau County in a few years?
I never said that. You're putting words into my mouth. I'm disagreeing with the transfer tax.
Then if there's another way to do it, let's do it.
I am not for more, I'm not going to tax these people anymore. We already have $19 million in debt, and that's enough taxes for us. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
I don't understand the response, and I would ask that the parties group together in a private setting and learn more with an open mind, as there are lots of intricate facts and different ways to set up real estate transfer taxes. There's an actually unlimited and customized way of doing it, and we have seen the fantastic results that Warwick and Chester have yielded from this. It has not impacted negatively the real estate market or their economy in any way. And the fact that we appoint independent specialists, enthusiasts to these environmental commissions, it is the town board's responsibility to hear those specialized opinions and take that into account. So this has been an interest across multiple administrations of the town of Monroe. And so I would ask that new members of the board do circle back. Maybe, Tom, we could all set a time to talk more with Councilman Rivera about this, as I think on its face, many do, cringe at the idea of an additional tax. However, again, the success and the actual details being that it's a one-time fee for those buying into a community and profiting essentially on overdevelopment, in such as the case in Monroe's unique landscape. I'm not sure what else we would do for,
Walk into
preservation.
ShopRite and look to the right. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Dory Houle, followed by Tony Cardone.
Dory
evening.
Houle, resident of the town and village of Monroe. I would like to address something that I read in the minutes from June 8th. This is as it relates to the executive session personnel issues. I'm reading directly from the minutes. During the executive session, the employment status of a particular employee was discussed. There was a discussion concerning whether this employee was eligible for FMLA leave. A vote was taken. There was a discussion concerning whether this employee was eligible for FMLA leave. A vote was taken to terminate this same employee based on the facts set forth in the town attorney's memorandum dated May 27th, 2026, the memo. A motion was made by town board member Bingham to terminate this employee for insubordination, failure to perform job functions, inappropriate comments on text messages to other town employees, and other reasons set forth in the memo effective June 22nd, 2026. Town board member Rivera seconded the motion and a roll call vote was taken. The question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put into a vote on roll call, which resulted as follows. Essentially, the motion passed. While this employee does not retain Section 75 rights according to civil service law and can be terminated because they don't have Section 75 rights, the fact that this action to terminate this employee within the discussion of an FMLA request is very risky and very concerning to me as a town resident and a taxpayer. It is for this reason that I am begging the town board, in the best interest of the board and of its taxpayers, that they secure the services of an independent HR. Having a discussion to terminate an employee within a federally protected right to pursue a federal law that protects their job due to a serious medical condition is very risky, very, very risky. So please consider an independent HR firm that will be able to address issues like that, protecting the town board from being vulnerable. I'm very surprised that that was included in the minutes. I'd also like to address water chestnuts. The village can help you with that. They have a weed harvester. I recommend that you talk with the village and that you try to create an IMA to use that. I'd like to echo Fran's overwhelm that she experienced as Deputy Budget Officer. We had several conversations in my capacity as a recruiter for Orange County. We had several conversations where she felt very overwhelmed with her duties. She was not prepared for that position. She was not qualified for that work, and she should have never have been placed in that
Time.
position.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Excuse me, Councilman Rivera, I'm going to allow the town attorney to immediately respond to that because what you just shared, thank you for sharing your concerns. However, it is factually inaccurate, and I just wanted to give the town attorney the immediate chance to respond for the public record, as misrepresenting the conversation in executive session is against the law.
I read the minutes
Excuse me,
exactly.
your
I
time
read it
is
exactly.
ended.
It was
Excuse
in the
me,
minutes.
Dory, thank you for your comments. You are able to sit back down now. Thank you so much. Please sit down so that we can respond to you.
I'd like to hear his response.
Please sit down and then we will respond
I'd
to
be
you.
happy to hear your response.
My response is I'm not going to divulge what happened in executive session. The minutes are the minutes where they are. What someone reads of them or interprets is their
Well, I'd like
business.
you to address the fact that the status of FMLA is to establish whether it is protected. If someone is a protected status, then the preceding vote would not have been able to happen. So that is completely right. It is accurate, and we have a town attorney and labor attorneys who guided the town. But thank you for your comments.
I'll be submitting
Please
a
sit
FOIL
down.
request.
Okay, next speaker.
Tony Cardone, followed by Carol Scully.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
A couple questions regarding and I guess I should direct them at you, regarding the new water contract. I'm curious whether the union members will grieve this, because essentially in their existing contract, there was a change in positions, a change in title, a change in pay, and there were terms of work that were altered as well. Highway is needed for water main digs, water main breaks. And I will say that this is because the shop steward was not present, this is a creation of some dissension over there. And I know that for a fact. And it's very difficult when you speak at 7:25, Mrs. Richardson, that somebody that's been in a job for 10 to 15 years, that they shouldn't be paid what a person who's just coming in is being paid. Well, I think you should check the figures, because, and nothing against Craig, I love Craig, he's making more than John Mulligan made. Okay, so that goes against your theory that you stated earlier in the meeting. And
Clarify the theory so I can address it when you sit down.
I will say that you took out the fact that he is plowing. So now, you don't have to add one highway worker, you have to add two to get back to the amount of plows you have for the roads and the amount of routes we have. So instead of just the additional pay for Mr. Lundgren, you have an additional highway worker, and then you're going to have, because I know Mulligan did weekends, so you're going to have to hire somebody else possibly if Highway chooses not to do the tests on the weekends. So you're probably looking at somewhere between an additional, I'd say, $130,000 to $140,000 because of this deal. And I don't even know if that includes benefits. So I really believe that the shop steward should have been involved in this, and to leave him out, which we never did, I think is an error in judgment. Thank you.
I'm going to reiterate that this was requested by the actual highway superintendent. The highway department itself was notified, and that Frank, the president of the local union, orchestrated the entire arrangement. So if there's a grievance, we'll deal with that. I'm happy to address it further at the end. Next speaker, please.
Carol Scully, followed by Mike Summer.
Hi. Carol Scully, Town of Monroe. Since Roberta McBride was not able to attend tonight's meeting, she asked me to read a letter that was, I believe, sent to the board, and as a matter of public record.
We did not receive
Only
any
member
letter.
That was my understanding. Whether she sent it or not, I don't know, but she wrote this. She asked me to please read this in front of you. Roberta served as a bookkeeper for the town of Monroe for more than 9 years. She was hired December of 2016, a civil service eligibility, after successfully completing the requirement examination. This was a civil service position, not a political appointment. Her employment concluded on February 20th, 2026. Her points were: 1, budget status. The town's overall budget has historically increased each year, and the 2026 budget is no exception. These figures are publicly available on the town website. While individuals may have differing opinions regarding how funds are allocated, the budget documents provide a clear picture of the town's financial resources. I encourage anyone to review the official budget documentation. Second point, system security and NICLAS investment fund. On June 22nd, 2026, while configuring my administrative login for NICLAS at another municipality, I discovered that my administrative credentials for the town of Monroe's NICLAS account remained active. Prior to my departure, I had requested that the town supervisor remove my access. Although I did not access the town's account, I remained listed as an administrative approximately 4 months after my employment ended. I ultimately spent considerable amount of time working with NICLAS to have my access removed. In my opinion, this represents a significant security and internal control concern that should be addressed promptly. Additionally, after reviewing the town board meeting agendas from March through the present, I did not find any cash transfer abstracts authorizing transfers into the NICLAS investment account. Based on those agendas and minutes, it appears that none of the 12 million tax warrant received in February, including funds designated for the Moodna and Smith Clove Park, was not transferred into the investment fund, as has generally been done in the past years. Historically, between 7 million and 10 million was invested early in the year and transferred back as operating funds were needed. If those funds were not invested, the town has lost a substantial amount of interest revenue that was budgeted to offset local taxes.
Time, thank you.
Thank you. Sincerely, Roberta McBride.
I would just ask, I will address this at the end, but I would just ask that Roberta reach out to us, as she has not been in touch regarding any of the points. So if she could send that letter along to us, that would be excellent. Did she say she would email it? Can she email it?
She didn't specifically say how she did it.
Okay, well, that would be nice. Thank you so much. Next speaker?
Next speaker is Mike Summer, followed by, and I apologize if I get this name wrong, Mark Lindsay. I'm sorry? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mike Summer, 56 High Ridge Road. I want to thank the board for updating us on Water District 1, which is why I'm here. I just want to make sure I'm clear. I know that there were 3 options on the table originally, and at the last meeting we were going to go with option 2, but it sounds like, and I was at the village meeting where I heard that the rates are going to go up. So I just want to make sure I'm clear now on, it seems like option 3 might be back on the table. So if that's the case, and secondly, I wasn't sure if I heard it correctly, but is option 3 going to still blend water with village water, or is it going to be strictly well water? Because if that's the case, I talked to residents of High Ridge that were there originally, and they were originally, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe Mary can correct me if I'm wrong, were on well water and it dried up, and that's why they ended up doing this. So I don't really feel real comfortable about being solely on well water. Secondly, there's also my concern about contaminations. I'm a trained scientist. I have a PhD. So I have concerns about heavy metals in well water and whether that's going to be a problem. One of the things I want to make sure is if we're going to be on well water, that's going to make me nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof. I would concern, and I've spoken to a number of residents at High Ridge, we prefer option 2. I think it's the one that gives us the most consistent supply of water and that we don't delay getting the pump station in. As you know, we lost power this recent, and when we lose power, we lose water. Now, I can live without electricity. I've told Mary this. I can't live without water. I can't even flush the toilets. It gets pretty grim. So,
I can imagine.
yeah, so anything you can do to expedite this, I would really appreciate it. I know the residents of High Ridge would be very appreciative. So, and hopefully we'll see a meeting with the town engineers once this is all resolved.
Yes, we're waiting on that. Thank you so much for your comments and for your thoughtful suggestions and remarks. Just to answer you quickly, and I'll answer more at the end, this was recommended by the engineers. Any heavy metals or any other quality are going to come up in this review. I think they just wanted to clear that this path, might be the better option, and we're happy to discuss that more in depth with the residents of your district at your special meeting, but we won't be able to make that an informed decision without these results. And a lot of our districts are fueled by wells. It's just, again, a potential option, as we said, because of the rising rates, and we may not be able to rely on these contracts long-term, depending, on, we want to ensure that we have districts that are functioning and controlled and maintained by the town fully, so we want to explore that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Lundy, followed by Herman Wagschall.
Good evening. My name is Mark Lundy. I'm a resident of Monroe. Actually, I live across from that island. That's my lake there. And I've had some concerns lately. I fished on that lake. My father's 94 years old. He used to take his quad and go fishing at the end of my logging road, which now he can't do because it's gated. This all started as a driveway, as you know, and it's not a driveway. It's a property owned by Brock in Maine, I believe 77 acres, which now is fully fenced in. And the problem with that is they have every right to do it. They extended from the logging road fence all the way down to the lake through the wetlands without any permits. You can't even walk through there without getting permits. So that's already in the works. I've already informed them they're working on it, as well as there are endangered species in there now, which I have emails, confirmation from the DEC that they did examine it, and it is an endangered species. So I don't know where that's going to take us. But it's just, it disgusts me that now that these are going to be single-family homes, who knows? We don't know what they're going to be. And I guess my question to you is if any plans have been submitted or any permits have been submitted to you for approval, or if any permits have been approved by any parties of this firm. Because, like I said, I love this town. I grew up here, my father grew up here, and it's disgusting to see what's going on in it. The overpopulation, just people going up my blocks with EMT lights on. They're not even cops. I've followed them to their house and turned the lights off. I said, I'm an EMT, is there a problem? Oh no, everything's okay. So you can just imagine some poor woman driving with her kids, sees lights behind her and swerves off the road and hits a tree. Not to mention, there's so many other things that are just, I'm not gonna bring it all up at this meeting. My main concern is that property. It's fenced all the way from Cromwell Hill Road to the lake. Deer, I've never seen so many deer on our properties. Bear, they can't get in or they can't get out. So whatever was in there when they put the fence up is probably still in there. And whatever's on the other side of the fence is all in our yards. My tomato plants are all gone. Believe me, I love deer. In the wintertime, I feed them. But it's just gotten to be ridiculous and out of control. To turn us beautiful, pristine, there's the picture right there. all that land is just gonna, I don't even know what it's gonna become. But I'm just so sick to see that it's gonna happen that way. So, I mean, I'm gonna follow up to see if there are permits pulled, if there's any permits submitted, and the DEC is gonna play a major role in this, along with the EPA, as soon as they make their investigation and determine what they're gonna do as far as endangered species and for violating the Wetlands Act. So, yep.
Thank you. We've been in discussions, Mark, and I'm happy to have this conversation further at another meeting or in my office, whatever you want to do. I know you've been reaching out to me via my personal cell
Yeah.
phone to try to set up a meeting. Thank you for coming down and respectfully voicing your concerns.
Yep.
I just want to take the time, in the town of Monroe, you do not need a fence permit unless it's blocking sight lines or other things like, or if it's a pool fence.
Well, apparently they're claiming that the water authority has a key, so if they need to get access.
That's the other
My
aspect.
concern is, yes, you can't have the fence.
Yeah.
You can't have the fence in the wetlands.
So the last that I've heard and the last that I walked through, there was no fence. I have this little map, I know. maybe
Yeah, I
not.
remember, I was
There's
with you.
no fence on the lake side because they're fencing it
There
off.
there's a fence
from
in the lake.
access.
The fence goes all the way to the lake.
So do you mean, sorry?
If you're walking down that road and then you got the gate,
Yeah?
to the right goes to Cromwell
Can
Hill.
you just, for my edification, point to where? So this is the lakeside and this is the wetlands and they did not fence the internal piece. They fenced externally. So where are you referring to?
They fenced, this is the
They
logging
fenced
road here.
down, you mean,
They fenced
this
all the
way?
way through the wetlands to the lake
On
itself.
this one, on this side?
I didn't even go on the other side, I can't get over that.
I think,
I have a drone.
we'll take a look, but just everyone, please avoid going out through those doors. They are broken. Please use the front.
Fence all the way to the lake.
I think you're talking about on one side, and I'm happy to investigate whether that went in the wetlands, and I'm happy to take a look at that, but Ben and I were asked directly if they needed a permit, what they needed to do. We don't have that permit process, and if we did, they'd be entitled to the fence ultimately because it's a fence. And we're happy to explore that with the DEC, but so far as I've been looped, Ben and the DEC and the representative Joel Mann from the Round Lake Realty have all been discussing with DEC and they've signed off. Our planning board chairwoman, even though she isn't involved in this as of yet, as there is no application, as we've discussed multiple times, she's walked it to just make sure there wasn't anything that needed, as I have walked it, as Ben has walked it, our building inspector / code enforcement. And at this time, we've looped them, and I'm happy to reiterate your concerns that you believe that part of this may be impacting the wetlands, and we would want to certainly avoid that. But as far as I know now, it is not. Yeah. That is certainly a question for them. I don't know how they handle that.
Sir, if you could please
If you
speak
could
on the
just
mic.
talk on the microphone, just so it goes on the record, but I just wanted to get,
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's a-
apologize for other
it's a
residents, but
slippery
this
slope.
is just such an important matter for residents to the community at large, and I'm glad that you came down here because you live right across and you've been seeing it. But again, everything, we've been looped, we've been aware, and the DEC has been actively working with our departments. So we're happy to give you those reports or just give them a call to like address.
Yeah, I mean, I did call him, and
Yeah.
I told him, he says, I see it right on the map, and he goes, I don't see anybody that pulled any permits to be in the wetlands.
No.
So they're gonna come and look.
They did not, yeah, they did not apply to go in the wetlands, and as
Okay.
far as we were aware, DEC
I didn't think so.
signed off that everything looked okay. If they deviated from that plan, it should be remediated.
Yeah.
So we'll handle it.
And
Thank you
the
so much.
bigger concern is the animals.
That is a different matter altogether because it is private property. They own it and they're allowed to fence it, so.
I know, but
Yeah.
is it right? I don't even know if it's violating any DEC law.
We'll certainly find out
Yeah.
in our discussions
But
with
you
them.
could just imagine 80 acres of wildlife stuck in there, or now they can't get in there.
They jumped the fence, it's just how it is out here.
6.5 feet.
All right, thank you
But
so
thanks,
much. I don't
Maureen.
mean to take up any more of anybody's time. Let's proceed with the next speaker.
Herman Wagshall, followed by Iris Comp.
Evening.
Good evening. My name is Herman Wagshall. I live in the town of Monroe. And I would like first to say to distinguished supervisor a big thanks for installing a couple of lights down there on Seven Springs Road, street lights. And I see people on, and I'm happy, people are really concerned for endangered species. And over there's a lot of endangered species. There's mothers that are pushing strollers, that are being endangered species, walking in such a dark, tricky trail that curves like this, and construction trucks passing by, and big trailers and everything, because the village of Monroe was concerned on not to go through their property, so they made a weight limit. But so they diverted all the traffic coming through there, which is unfair because that was designed for horse and buggies, and there's no sidewalks, and there's people walking there daytime and nighttime, and my heart goes out sometimes when you see almost, every day accidents there. And so at least it eases up a little bit of the danger there. I think it's time, after for a long time having division in this town. I've been a resident in Rockland County since I was 2 years old. I watched the town of Ramapo, how it became 13 villages, and what it happened, and what it is, that's it. People are living here, and they have a right, and we pledged allegiance to the flag, and we finish it off with justice for all. All means all. It doesn't matter what they believe, what sect, what community, they still are protected under the Constitution, and they have their rights. And this town lost a lot of revenue because of fighting and dividing between the communities. And in order to fix that, I served for about 40 years ago in the town of Ramapo on a task force to get together the communities, speak together. It was an official appointed by the town board. I suggest that we do that here, and we do a task force from different communities and suggesting and planning what we can do to unite the community, real united, not called united and doing divisions.
Excuse me, I am the chair of the meeting. He has not come to a meeting before, and I am politely signaling him that his time is up. I apologize, Mr. Wagshall. There's only excuse me. If you do not stop calling out, I will treat you like every other member who is asked to leave. Mr. Wagshall, I know that I'm going to ask you to leave, Mr. Cardone. Stop calling out. Mr. Wagshall, thank you for coming to our meeting. I know you're a very respected member of your community. You don't often come out to a town hall meeting. Thank you for voicing your concerns.
Just one little thing I would like
We
to
often
add.
enforce the 3-minute rule. I did just give Mark additional time, so I'm inclined if you would like to summate in 2 more sentences, that'll be it.
I would like to say that people that are concerned that it costs a little money to put up a couple of street lights, 7 street lights or 8 street lights on a stretch of over a mile in a dark alley, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for fighting with a certain community that didn't make no sense, and I don't have enough time to explain it here, but I would love to have once and for all time to really, people that I really want to know the truth should know the truth.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Iris Conch, followed by Steve Thaw.
Hi. Iris Conch, Town of Monroe. I just wanted to see The last time, what? Thank you. Okay. The last time I spoke, I was asking about if Joni could come and give a presentation about the TNR program she started in Greenwood Lake, and you seemed interested in that, and I've been calling and leaving messages and sending email, and I haven't had a response. Is there a way to get her on the agenda for?
What is your email so I can search for it? So unfortunately, multiple people have, they've gone to spam. We
Well, I
have
just wanted to
speak
see
with
like
New Windsor.
how to get her on the agenda so she can do a presentation about it.
Absolutely. What time, when is her availability? If you want to just give me your email and your direct line, I haven't received messages, so I'm happy to circle with that. We are interested in having her give a presentation, and I can personally add her to a future
Okay,
agenda.
I'll give it to you.
That's it?
You want-
Okay,
that's
thank
all-
you.
that's all
Thank
I
you so
wanted.
much.
Steve Thaw, followed by Dan Burke.
Thank you.
Steve
Evening.
Thaw, Town of Monroe, here to speak tonight about some resignations and loss of valued town employees. Since becoming a member of the town board, Supervisor Richardson, you have consistently and continuously behaved in a way that is extremely immature, toxic, and creates a hostile work environment. This is why last year, following an independent, non-biased investigation by a private HR firm contracted by the town of Monroe, you were found guilty of engaging in behavior that has in fact created a hostile work environment. But your behavior did not stop there. Upon becoming the town supervisor in January, your behavior only got worse. This is why numerous town employees who worked here for years resigned rather than subject themselves to your behavior. A town of Monroe employee who resigned, who wishes not to be named, stated, and I quote, "I don't know how I did it for 6 months. She is so clueless and just lies all the time. Dealing with her was hostile, but no sweat off my back." End quote. Not my words. Then, as another example, another well-respected town employee wrote in his resignation letter, which was extensively redacted as to not allow the public to know the truth on why he left. I will read an excerpt from that resignation letter so the public knows what really goes on behind the closed door of the youngest town supervisor in the history of Monroe, but in my opinion, the most unqualified and immature. Town supervisor and members of the town board, Town of Monroe, resignation and retirement. Dear town supervisor and members of the town board, it is with considerable reflection and disappointment that I submit my resignation and retirement from my position with the town of Monroe, with this last day being Tuesday, July 6, 2026. This decision has not been made lightly. I have dedicated myself to serving the town and its residents, always striving to act in the town's best interest and to fulfill my responsibilities with professionalism, integrity, and accountability. However, recent events have created a hostile work environment, there we are again, that has made it impossible for me to continue serving in this role. It is important that the town board be fully aware of the circumstances that contributed to my decision, specifically the demeaning and threatening emails sent to me by the town of Monroe supervisor, Ms. Richardson. I'm going to go to another section of it. For the past 2.5 years, I have devoted myself to this position, routinely working 7 days a week with very few days off. While the workload itself has been demanding, it is not the workload that has led my decision to retire. Rather, it is the stress, strain, and damage to my well-being resulting from the accusations made against me and the hostile work environment that followed. I have always taken my responsibilities seriously and have consistently acted in what I believe to be the best interest of the town of Monroe and its residents. I am proud of the work that has been accomplished through my tenure and grateful for the opportunity to have served this community. I'm also going to speak to the people that you mentioned earlier that were interviewed for the job in the Department of Finance here in the town of Monroe. And you mentioned qualifications that they need to have. My question is, what qualifications do you have to be the town budget officer?
I'm going to address right away that John Mulligan was reprimanded through the union for the unauthorized purchase of a $100,000, $106,000 utility vehicle. Excuse me, stop calling out from the audience. Stop calling out from the audience, or we will dial the police to have you removed. Stop calling out. The unauthorized purchase of a $106,000 vehicle that we did not give a purchase order for, that we did not, as this town board, authorize beginning Jan 1, and that the former town board continues to misrepresent as somehow a lawful expenditure because they put it in our budget rather than their own. We need everybody. There is no individual on this town board, even the CFO, who can expend $100,000 without the vote and authorization and purchase order subsequently from that vote for that vehicle. We have discretion on what is ordered, when it is ordered, when it is approved, and that individual did not verify that that money was even there or a part of our plan for spending in the midst of a budget emergency. This was verified by the town attorney. I took the grievance to the union. They verified and agreed that this was inappropriate. We took it to the dealer. They also verified that the interactions occurred ever before and that the binding arrangement or intent to purchase was made ever before our time on the board. And one cannot spend future monies from future boards, and one cannot bind purchases for future boards. All of it was inappropriate and illegal. The definition of a hostile work environment is to go after one for gender, for other things of that nature. It is not, I didn't get my $100,000 F-550 that I wanted, and I've worked here for 3 years, and the union has registered numerous complaints from me, so they ask that if I want to resign, let him resign. Mr. Sorry, I don't know, Steve, we don't have to read out resignation letters. They're not mandated. Stop calling out. Stop calling out. It is inappropriate, and you need to stop calling out. I'm the chair of this meeting. Stop calling out. Stop calling out. Steve, act like a Mr. Thaw then. Act like it. Sit still. The town of Monroe did not authorize a $100,000 vehicle purchase, and we will be allocating that to the personnel in the water department that we agreed to because we were overburdening Mr. Mulligan, and it was also agreed upon that this was essentially the last straw. Unfortunately, there are people who are loyal to a very, very different political viewpoint. And Mr. Mulligan's complaints were not only unsubstantiated in its entirety because I had never interacted with him directly, but I also have an email that I sent him that was literally reviewed by the attorney, and it was saying, I'm so sorry, I wanted to make your life easier, etc. And it also had CC'd Angelina, and he took the accusation that he bound the town into the purchase so unacceptable that he resigned. Unfortunately, that's just town law, and it is what it is. I'm happy to put that email into the minutes as to not waste any more town time, but yeah, no, he did not experience a hostile work environment. He just actually violated basic procurement process and New York State town law, and we could have terminated him for it. Mr. Burke, thank you for your patience. Please proceed.
Hi, Dan Burke, elder statesman. Live in Rye Hill Road, Village of Monroe, Town of Monroe. And I have a different opinion than the previous speaker. And the people of Monroe watched town board meetings for 2 years. They saw our councilwoman in action, and 23,000 of them voted to make her the town supervisor. So that count now is 23,000 to 1. So, but anyway, I wanted to compliment our town supervisor because we're always looking for.
Be quiet while other people are speaking, as they were for you. Thank you very much.
Okay. We're always looking for good communication, transparency, good government, open government. And our town supervisor started the monthly supervisor's report. Now, the first one was at May 28th, and it was 1 hour and 2 minutes, but that was 5 months. and the second one was in June. And these are available, and everybody can see, what's going on. Go on to YouTube or to one of the Facebook pages and see everything there. And also, I really enjoyed the Across the Aisles. Told everybody what was going on for the town of Monroe among federal officials, county officials, and statewide officials. And I have a footnote on Woodbury and the dollar ride. That was a win-win. The town of Monroe was actually subsidizing that extended those rides into Woodbury. And prices were going up, gas went up $1 a gallon, and it was unfair for the taxpayers of the town of Monroe to be subsidizing their good neighbor, who we like, but we should keep the money here. But anyway, that's the win for Monroe. And the win for Woodbury was that they're now getting their own bus, and they're going to start their own program. So they'll be able to run it the way they see it, and that's a win for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Rick Colon, followed by Carol Hawkshurst.
Rick Colon, Town of Monroe, Berwyn Road. First off, I'd like to address the gentleman who came up and he spoke about Round Lake and the fence. I agree 100%. There's no need to put up a fence. It stops a lot of animals from moving back and forth on the property and into the wetlands. I think a simple sign that says no trespassing. I understand the animals can't read, but I would like to extend that courtesy to people. I think that would be most important. And he did bring up some very viable points. That's one of the many issues. Second issue would be, we were talking about different persons and personnel, different things that happened in personnel. Personally, I get very concerned about mentioning names and things that are done in executive in an executive session. I think they should be staying that way. If they have a union, they have the right to have their union leader or their union shop steward there, and should be encouraged to do so. I think that's very important, because too many things get out of hand. I was a shop steward and a shop leader in Department of Corrections for over 10 years, so I have a little bit of experience with that. Again, the issue was brought up also about keeping green space within the town. We do pay enough tax, I get that. But I think that the state should be also picking up some of the bill for that and should be helping us to conserve it. Because nowadays, when you drive through the town of Monroe, especially at 4 and 5 o'clock, we have a traffic jam. And we have way too many people here, not enough roads, but again, where does it end? And I think that there has to be more thought given to how we're developing this area. And let me tell you, Woodbury Commons as a shopping center does much for our tax base, but it also brings up a lot of people. It also brings up a lot of traffic. A lot of people want to live up here. I think we need some more green space. I think that would be great if the state could get more involved in that. And I would think that many of the people who agreed with the gentleman who was up here, both of the gentlemen talking about green space and fencing off property and the overbuilding, should get hold of our state senator and assemblyman and to the governor's office to have them get involved. We as town residents cannot share this burden alone. So we need your help with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Carol Hawkshurst.
Good evening.
Good evening. Carol Hawkshurst, Monroe, New York. This is just something that came to me as the gentleman was speaking about the streetlights. I don't have any issue with the streetlights, and I appreciate the board, funding that and taking care of that, because of course safety is an issue. What I do have an issue with is the reckless driving of the school bus drivers, which I've brought up here countless times. Like the Dark-Eye Yosher bus, it's eventually going to cause a fatality. What I saw over the weekend, I couldn't believe it. There was a full-sized bus of Dark-Eye Yosher going in reverse out of the road that I live on onto Orange Turnpike. Why, I have no idea. But
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? They were going in reverse?
They were going in reverse on the road that I live, going in reverse and backing onto Orange Turnpike. With kids, I'm assuming on the bus, so not only is it dangerous because there are kids playing on the streets where I live, and I didn't get the bus, because I was in my house, I didn't have my phone, and as you know where I live, I couldn't even get my phone to get any other information other than I saw the name of the bus. So that's disturbing to me, and that's been ongoing. So again, and along with that, when we speak about justice for all, I am in total agreement with that. Anyone who knows me knows that I definitely stand for that. But where are everyone's rights to live in the country and not high density, where the infrastructure simply can't handle it? That's something to take into consideration too. Supervisor Richardson, I know we had spoken a while ago about eliminating CCR, and that's something that you ran on your platform, the CCR zoning. So where does that stand? I mean, we're almost 6-7 months into your term. I've also brought up the comprehensive plan. I haven't seen anything. We have $45,000 in the budget to at least get that going. I think the sooner the better, because that is going to help with the overdevelopment. And I'm also wondering about the Pilates Village. What's the status of that? If you can answer that for me, if the town board could answer that for me. And lastly, because it wasn't acknowledged, I did want to say, I agree with the separate HR. Your head of HR, Supervisor Richardson, I think that's a conflict of interest, because if someone has an issue with you specifically, who do they go to? And I think that is a conflict of interest.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Just to address that last point, this is CEO, CFO, CPO is also how the model of the town supervisor works across multiple municipalities. So, was there any further
That's all
comment?
for public comment.
Okay, so we can move into long form responses. Louis, do you want to kick it off?
So, for the people watching on TV, there was a lot said tonight, so I want to say that the First Amendment is one of the greatest protections we have as Americans. It guarantees our freedom of speech. It guarantees the freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and the right to peacefully assemble, and the right to petition our government. These are privileges not granted by those in power. They are fundamental rights that belong to every citizen of the U.S. I, as an elected official, I want to make it clear that I fully support the First Amendment and the freedoms it protects, whether I agree with someone's opinions or not. I will always defend their right to express them peacefully. In a free society, we don't preserve liberty by silencing voices we disagree with. We preserve it by protecting everyone's right to be heard. Town board meetings are one of the most viable examples of the First Amendment in action. Residents come together to voice concerns, offer suggestions, praise our work, or criticize our work and our decisions. While these conversations can sometimes be passionate or uncomfortable, they are an essential part of representative government. Public participation makes us better leaders because it makes us more accountable to the people that we serve. At the same time, the First Amendment comes with responsibilities. Our freedoms are strongest when they are exercised with respect and civility. We can disagree without being disagreeable, right? We can debate ideas without attacking people. When we listen to one another with an open mind, we strengthen our community and we demonstrate that democracy is not about everyone talking alike. It's about respecting each other's right to think differently, okay? I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and that includes defending the First Amendment. I believe our community is strongest when every resident feels that they have the opportunity to speak, participate, and be heard. No matter what our political affiliation, our background, or our beliefs, we are united by the freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution. Those freedoms have endured for nearly 250 years because of generations of Americans understood that liberty requires constant vigilance and unwavering commitment. Let us continue to protect those rights, encourage respectful dialogue, and remember that the First Amendment is not just a legal principle, it is the foundation of an open, free, and democratic society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll clap for that. Wow. Councilwoman Bingham?
A lot of good topics came up tonight. Water District 1, I'm glad to see that, you're going to have your meeting with the engineer and go over the options. I know that's very important to you. I agree the CCR needs to be taken out. I also agree the real estate transfer tax definitely needs to be enacted. Usually it's a very small percentage, less than 1%, and it could raise a lot of money. The truck is a very hot topic. I worked many months with John Mulligan looking for an option that was not the truck that Healy came to be the item. We looked at Auctions International, Municipid, other auction sites that deal with municipal property. Yeah, you want to drive 2 days out to Pennsylvania and taking 2 guys to go look at a truck to see if it's worth buying that might have 70,000 miles on it already, and then 2 guys to bring it back. We figured it was much more feasible, economically feasible, to just order a new truck. The new truck did need a plow because currently the driveways, let's call them, to the water districts need to be plowed out. This past February when we had that big snowstorm, John Mulligan went out in his boots to try to get to, he has to do the regular plowing first because he's under highway. He has to do the regular plowing first, and then he had to go out and plow out the water districts because you just can't say, oh, well, that's 2 feet of snow, I'm gonna let it sit there and melt. You have to go out and plow it because you have to do the readings on the water and make sure the chlorine levels and everything is done right. We discussed all the options. We said you don't need the salt spreader, but you definitely need the plow. You needed certain cab configurations. He has electronic equipment that he uses to go read the meters. You can't leave that out in just like any vehicle. You need it to be in a well-insulated, when you're driving around, you don't want the heater not to work on a truck or something. You want that electronic equipment to be protected. So I have a lot of bad feelings about how that water truck issue was totally blown out of proportion. I know he needed that truck. I know the water department needs that truck. And I like I said, I just felt that John devoted himself so many years and made the water districts as good as they are now. That was really John's hard work, and I really appreciate all the time and effort he put into making them as good as they are. Because
unless you're not doing time.
The fencing around 21, I call it 21 Front Street, but we all know it's the property Cromwell, and the town of Monroe does not have a fencing law. Maybe we should start looking to getting that law written as well. Might solve some of the problems, whether it's a 3-foot fence or a 6-foot high fence. Some of those issues need to be discussed and resolved. I agree. Thank you.
I'm going to go last, but I just wanted to touch that, well, he did need a truck. The F-550 was also refused by the union, And if we had a fence law, the fence they have is compliant, so if they applied for a permit, they'd get it. Again, I'm going to save my comments for long form so that Councilwoman Stevens can go ahead of me and be heard. So,
Thank you all for your patience. I know it's been a pretty long meeting for us tonight. Tom, you and Rick brought up some of the same things, and I just want to say I 1,000% agree with needing to curb overdevelopment in any way, shape, or form we can. I also have been hoping to see the CCR change soon. I have seen some emails indicating it may be being held up by Pilati. I personally would just like to grandfather Pilati in and just move forward with changing CCR. I'm definitely open to that real estate transfer tax, but I would like to learn more about it. And then, you know, the next two commenters, Dory and Tony, it's a weird world where I'm in more and more agreement with the people I ran against for office. Yes, I have my own concerns for why we need an independent HR, specifically from some things that were in executive session, so I can't discuss it with you. There's a growing concern of people reaching out to me and expressing how they feel, and you know, all I can hope is that knowing that there's money in the budget for it, that our supervisor will simply consider it. I have really, really deep concerns about how the union's going to move forward with taking this water employee out. I really am just worried about second and third order effects, because there were definitely some negative ones the last time we did some negotiating with a municipality. Good news, this is just within our town, but I do think it's going to open the door for negotiations on things besides just putting in a new water administrator. Carol Scully, thank you for pointing out that lack of interest revenue. I will take a look with what I can, you know, from previous board meetings from before we came on, but I also hope that our budget officer will take a look at it as well. And Mark, if you're getting different answers from the DEC, I would really like to connect with you. I'd like to be a support with you on that. And other Carol, I definitely concur on what we need to move on for CCR, but that comprehensive plan, I mean, we ran on it, and if there's money in the budget, we should be starting it. Basically, I just want to be keeping all the promises of the platform that we ran on, and I'm feeling like I'm letting the community down. That is all. Thank you.
thank you. The platform that you ran on is my platform, and it's called Preserve Monroe. And
It was a we.
No, you're done speaking now. Thank you. I ran on it. I invited you to run on it.
You used me.
You moved here 3 years ago, and you're being inappropriate. And this is why there's discord on the board. The former administration likes to poke holes and assert opinions as facts, and as Lewis said, we have to allow a public forum, and we engage with that, and we ask that residents do their research. And the reality is there is a process, and just asserting that certain things are the way they are when you're not actually on campus with us at all, and you don't have access to the things that you claim you do. And I doubt that you'd be able to answer any detailed questions about Pilati or CCR, despite the fact that you adopted it as your platform too, after I invited you, after years of community advocacy, learning from the ground up, knocking doors, doing the hard labor of researching and canceling and pursuing and advocating on behalf of this community. So no one is more disappointed to see that for the last time, I'm sure we'll talk about it again, we don't have money in the budget. We have allocated expenses for if revenues fully came through. Again, we have not seen revenues come through, and none of the neighboring municipalities have seen that revenue come through. It would be irresponsible for us to do anything right now, having had, the notification from the county, and without having Governor Hochul's signature, despite being promised that we would receive it right by now, on the reimbursement that we as municipalities are supposed to receive. So no, we are not receiving the money our paychecks, our revenues, in to be able to fulfill those expenses. We have it as matched set. If we receive a revenue, we are good to go, we are good to proceed on these initiatives. Unfortunately, we've had to put certain things on hold. $45,000 is not enough to complete a comp plan. It is enough to pursue grants for comp plans, and I've been in discussion with our chairwoman, Bonnie Franson, on that, and she is a planner, and we have also been in talks. The only reason that you guys are aware of CCR and aware of Pilati Village is because I took that on as my personal mantle and project. They did not meet the thresholds for their secret review. They did not finalize or secure their zoning, and the planning board at this time has agreed, as far as it's been relayed to me, unanimously agreed that they are not proceeding with that at this time, that it would require more study, and that they just aren't eligible and that their zoning expired. I believe that that is one way to go. I put this out in my supervisor report, so pretending that you're only vaguely aware when there's a published, several reports published, several emails published. We've discussed it in executive. The town attorney and I had a full-blown meeting with the principals of Keith Leibel of Pilati, Bonnie, Ashley Torrey, our planning board attorney. So we are moving on that. We can't just simply remove a zoning from the books, especially because it was created as a settlement. It's a delicate thing, and we are not looking to entrap the town of Monroe into further millions of dollars in lawsuits or spend a dime in legal fees that we don't have to spend. So if there truly is a need for senior housing in this community, we would like to measure it, we would like to reduce those units, and we would like to achieve that housing, as much as it pains me because I personally live on that road. We would like to achieve that for seniors if this developer can meet the threshold of a reasonable development standard for that area and will not. They've basically agreed informally it will not be under CCR if we come to some kind of arrangement and agreement. And I'm pursuing funding opportunities with the governor and information on this project with the governor, and that's all I'm really able to share right now. We will have further meetups with their team. We're scheduled to review this further. And again, this is not just something that you can snap your fingers and deliver for residents. Everything in this is delicate, it's irreversible. People have commented tonight that they have concerns that things are not handled appropriately, and I actually genuinely want to thank them for that because I will be looking into that as that's my job. It is a process, it is complicated. So no, there's nothing that's going to happen, pop up instantly overnight. We have to do our due diligence. Again, to address the water nut issue that Ms. Houle actually came up and spoke about, we have discussed that for a few years with the prior village administration. Unfortunately, you can't take the machines that are used in the village, lakes and ponds, easily and transfer them, as it can cause further contamination. They have a washing process, and they're not necessarily looking to risk the sort of double dip that might happen, but thank you for that offer. The highway department questions, I'll say it again. We notified every principal that this was occurring. This was presented to us by the union, and how the union and Bill Brown handles his department is his responsibility as a duly elected official. These complaints are being alleged by, former political, adversaries, alleging concerns, when the reality is there's a grievance process outlined in our union contract. So if there's a grievance by anyone in our department, they know where to find us, and my door is always open. Tonight you've heard a bunch of unsubstantiated allegations about, I'll leave it at that, just unsubstantiated. As to Ms. Hogshurst, it's very disturbing that you claim that a bus reversed onto Orange Turnpike because I don't believe that school buses are supposed to be reversing by state law at all without a spotter. I've said it a bunch of times, and so has the former administration. Unfortunately, the town of Monroe is not the vehicle. We're only an advocate that the school district and the school board, if you'd like to, I mean, you work at Monroe Woodbury, if you'd like to voice those concerns directly with them, they contract with these independent contractors, and we pay that through our school taxes to bus these, special schools around. So we can certainly, if you provide footage, information, time of day as best you can, back you up on these complaints as we have throughout the year as we've received them. But again, we don't, and the town board does not have any unilateral authority, unfortunately. We don't have that. It's the school district. I addressed the $45,000 in the budget. We don't have $45,000 in the budget. We have an allocated expense planned. When we receive that money, we would love to go ahead with those priorities because it's my biggest one. My comp plan initiative and the CCR are my biggest pain points, and that's what I want to see accomplished. And we've done everything and laid the groundwork for that to have happened. And with that, I would like, yes.
I actually have two.
Okay.
So in addition to Carol Hawkshurst, with the prior administration, I had voiced the same complaint in my development about buses coming up the street, pulling into a street to pick up kids, and they back up onto the main street where you have cars speeding down a hill. So that is an ongoing issue.
Absolutely.
They did have law enforcement come in and sit in the development for 2 weeks, and obviously those buses obeyed, but now those law enforcement are gone.
Yes.
And they're back to...
We can certainly do that, and I didn't mean to overlook that we have the ability to dispatch, but having been on the board and experienced this, I just glossed over that in my mind, that we can certainly call out state troopers and have them sit there, but as you said, the second they leave...
Well, this was village police.
Either one. The second that they leave, it's back again. So I'm happy to discuss that. We can make further reports if that's going on. Again, anyone who wants to send their reports, we're happy to advocate because that's what we are. We're a resource. But I just wanted to make it clear that we are not subcontracting. We have no authority over these buses. So it is unfortunately... Sorry?
It's been a big problem at Round Lake, and I've addressed it with them.
It's a universal complaint. Thank you so much.
I called the bus company, he said, well, were there kids on the bus? I said, does it matter?
Thank you, Mark. We can speak further about this, but I would really prefer one-on-one because we've been here a long time, and I want to thank everybody.
I have one last comment.
Okay.
Regarding the minutes and the executive session comment, that was not done maliciously on my part. I have never in my 9 years had a board come out of executive session and not make a resolution in front of the public and be provided, because my deputy had reached out to the attorney who provided the resolution, and she indicated for the minutes, and the board approved the minutes. So
how that occurred is that we attended the New York State Association of Towns training. I've attended it multiple times. We are able to make votes in executive session on personnel when it affects privacy, and we could actually be voting on more items back there, but we just don't feel that that's an appropriate thing. We like transparency. In this case, it was a heated discussion. There was no need to bring that out into the public, and we wanted to protect certain rights. We are fully able to do that, and when Barbara was here, we came out and informed her that a vote was taken and that Darius had taken the minutes, and he volunteered to give her those minutes as soon as applicable. He did so, and then they were incorporated by law.
And they were included in the minutes, which the board approved.
Yeah.
So you were aware that it was there.
Yes.
Because I had never known of that process to take place like that.
Yes, but we've never done it in the town of Monroe, or I heard that prior administrations did do this for real acquisition of property. There's a bunch of things that you can do in executive session, like if you are intending on buying a property and putting in bid or anything else, you just cannot vote. The only thing you cannot vote in executive session, you always have to take minutes, is the actual expenditure of public funds, because that is ultimately our main transparency goal as a municipality, is the transparency of funds. So that's how that works, and I'm happy to discuss that with anybody further, but yeah, thank you for, it was not malicious at all, this is just honestly the protection of the employee itself too, because we wish that employee the best. So with that, I will make a motion to end tonight's meeting of July 6, 2026 at 9:21 p.m.
Rivera will second.
Call the question.
Rivera, aye.
Bingham, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Stevens, aye.